Hi and welcome to Know Your Rights. I'm Chris Fisher. This video is part of a series on personal injury in association with Curry Law Group. Today we're going to focus on, we're going to zero in on insurance and understanding insurance. And with me today from Curry Law Group is Dan King. How are you, sir?
Good, Chris. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. All right, so you've been in an accident. At what point do you first call your insurance company?
I'm fine with you calling the insurance company initially and advising them of the accident. As far as the details, I would hesitate to give them any information other than you've been in an accident and you've got some injuries. Insurance companies are notorious for gathering information that is harmful to you and helpful to them. So after giving them the initial information and opening the claim, that's when I get a lawyer involved.
Okay. So let's break down like different kinds of insurance coverages, because one of the things that it's a little confusing, there's personal injury protection and there's bodily injury. What's the difference between those two? Okay,
that's a very good question. When you're involved in an accident, there's several insurances that come into play. Probably the one first and foremost is PIP, also known as personal injury protection. It's a law in Florida since the 70s. We probably need to get rid of it, but we have it now. Basically what it does, it provides $10,000 for medical coverage that you pay even though you're not at fault. They call it Florida no fault. So people ask me all the time, they go, why does my insurance pay for my medical bills when I'm not at fault? That's the law in Florida, and that's the law has been since the early 70s. It pays $10,000 to cover your medical expenses. The other coverage, which you referred to as bodily injury coverage, that will provide you coverage for someone that you injure as a result of your own fault.
All right, and then outside of that, there's property.
You have property damage coverage, which would provide for the damage to the other vehicle if you caused it. And the last coverage, which we haven't touched upon, is what's called uninsured motorist coverage. Uninsured motorist coverage is a very important coverage. You don't realize how important it is until you're sitting in my office and you find out that the person who hit you, that caused your injuries, doesn't have bodily injury coverage. Then we talk about uninsured motorists and we ask, do you have it? And hopefully they have it, because that would provide coverage for injuries caused by someone who doesn't have insurance.
Okay, so uninsured is not something that's required by law?
Good question.
Sounds like it should be.
It actually is not. Under Florida law, there's only two coverages that are required. PD, which is property damage, and PIP, which is the personal injury protection. Other than that, those are the only two that's required that would make you in compliance with Florida law. Uninsured motorists, however, is a very important coverage, and I encourage everyone to get it because, again, without it, the person who causes this accident, there's really nowhere for us to go with the personal injury case.
Well, then let's talk about that next. What you got into an accident and that person does not have insurance. What do you do?
Well, first of all, you're sitting in my office, and the first question I'm going to ask you is, do you have uninsured motorist coverage?
I see.
If the answer is no, and there's no bodily injury coverage, it's very difficult for us to continue to pursue the case. The question that's then asked by my clients is, well, can we sue that person individually? And the answer is absolutely. The problem is, if the person could not afford the smallest bodily injury insurance coverage, the likelihood that they have any assets for us to pursue is not good.
Okay. All right, so I've got coverage. What can I still expect to pay? Because, insurance doesn't cover everything. So you get into an accident, there's injuries involved. How much does my insurance cover? How much is going to be coming out of my pocket? How much am I going to be spending at Curry Law Group?
All good questions. As far as the medical side of it, your personal injury protection will pay up to 80%. So you are looking at out-of-pocket expenses, which is the very reason why you need to come to Curry Law Group, because what we try to do is we try to minimize those out-of-pocket expenses, and that is part of the claims process, that we are going to go after the person who's responsible for this and limit, if not eliminate, any out-of-pocket expenses too.
All right. Well, I hope this, if you got out of this what I got out of this, then what you got out of this was insurance is very complicated. Make a claim, but don't give them too much information, and then call Curry Law Group as fast as you can.
Absolutely.
All right. And how do they do that? What's the number?
Curry Law Group, 813-653-2500.
Dan King, thank you so much.
Thank you, Chris.